at the 94 mark in their second round game, but he averaged 100 in the first round, Max Hopp.
100.
He kicks things off with a ton. Chris Murphy alongside me, Dan Dawson, for this one.
Yeah, well, Jonny Clayton does have the superior record between this pair. In fact, the last meeting
55.
between the two was straight after Max Hopp had won the German Darts Open, and the very next European Tour event, he was beaten by Jonny Clayton, who went on to win the whole thing in Austria. A 6-3 win in the second
100.
round there. One of two victories he's had against Hopp in their only two meetings prior to this one. And Jonny Clayton in particular
41.
will pose a threat for Michael van Gerwen should he see off Max Hopp, because they've met a few times, and Jonny Clayton, if I'm remembering right, won their most recent meeting.
He did, with
140.
111 average. It was an incredible display from the Ferret.
They met
against
twice that
Van Gerwen.
weekend, didn't they? And Van Gerwen won one of them with a similar set of statistics himself. As Clayton rattles in his first match against Max. And he was kind of winding Jonny Clayton up after that, and they met in the quarterfinals again the next day, and Jonny Clayton returned the favour.
Yeah, the top ceiling of performance for Jonny Clayton is magnificent. He's a really, really good darts player, and he seems to be getting better and better. But then again, so does Max Hopp. I think it's a fantastic game that we've got here in store. Could go double-double, but Max, being stubborn as he is going to go on the treble 20, isn't he? And he's going to hit it, because he's fantastic at finding it, even when he blocks the bed. Double 8.
80.
Yeah, Hopp on the other side of the coin has never beaten Michael van Gerwen in 5 meetings. But he is getting closer, as you said, he's getting better. Now, Clayton tidying this up.
Oh, wonderful. Leg, Jonny
A
Clayton.
slip with the first dart from the Ferrets. Takes out a ton in 2 to complete the 104 combination. Yeah, Hopp played Michael van Gerwen at the German Darts Masters, the big World Series event over there.
180.
It was as close as he's got. Missed a chance in this match to win on throw in the first leg, and now
100.
the Ferret is putting his foot down.
He is. Jonny Clayton is seeded 8 here. It's done on the Pro Tour Order of Merit. 4 perfect dartsmen, no more. So that's the 1-year rolling prize money list that doesn't include those big TV events, but it does include these European Tour ones. Now, Jonny has obviously been catapulted up that by picking up 25 grand for becoming the Austrian Darts Open champion. Max, of course, picked 25 grand up in Saarbrücken when he was the German Darts Open champion, but he's not quite done enough to get into the seeded positions. But he's not a million miles away. A leg of darts. This is, by the way, from the Ferret.
Yeah, 180 and a 177. Effectively 3 maximum scores in a couple of legs.
100. Jonny record 44.
In fact, I think Max Hopp might well be getting into the seeded positions.
He's on the second leg, Jonny
Great
Clayton.
effort there from Jonny Clayton. It's a
Max
12 darter
to
to follow that 15 darter.
Game on.
Well, he was 22nd on the Pro Tour Order of Merit before this tournament. There's a massive bunch from around Adrian Lewis, a place below
97.
him, right up to the 15th, 14th place Gerwin Price before this tournament. There's not a lot to choose between those positions, and a deep run for any of those players would effectively get them in the seedings for the
100.
next batch of European Tour events.
Yeah, and of course we've got Copenhagen coming up as well, which Max has qualified for. That's a guaranteed £1,000 in ranking money. Ironically,
60.
It's not guaranteed ranking money for the seeded players, because if you go out at their first game in the second round stage, you get the money, but it doesn't go on your ranking. So Jonny Clayton, who's going to be in Copenhagen, worried
60.
to lose his second round game. He'd get £2,000, but it wouldn't go on his ranking. Whereas Max Hopp, if he loses his first round game, he still gets an extra grand on his ranking. And there's lots of players around there. Kim Huybrecht's not there. John Henderson not there. Kyle Anderson
60.
not there. And not here this weekend. So it gives him an opportunity to jump up a few places, because he's got, just by winning his first couple of games here, £3,000. But Jonny Clayton is going berserk here, because we're only 2.5 legs in, and Jonny Clayton's hit 3 180s and a 177. The maximizer is being out maximum.
140. Jonny record 161.
Come back to how important this tournament is for seedings in a moment. We'll do it now because Clayton's not going to take out the 161. But the qualifiers for European Tour events 9 and 10 are on Friday. So it's about getting into those seedings before that those two qualifiers.
Jonny, you require 62.
Only gets one dart. That's a little bit close. The ferret's face told the story then.
49.
Well, Max to get himself going. 17 for double 16. Nicely done.
He's on the third leg, Max Hopp. Fourth leg, Jonny to throw first.
And a sneer there. And he was beaten by the ferret. Not sure if he's there cheering on his former opponent or whether he's just there out of spite to see if Max can wipe the floor with him. Maybe just wants to watch the darts, who knows?
$60.
Awesome. Extremely good performances yesterday. This from Jonny Clayton in particular has been fantastic so far. But Michael Van Gerwen and Joe Cullen both posted averages of just below 108 in wins yesterday. MVG around the 103 mark, similar to where Jonny Clayton is right now this afternoon.
Oh, wow.
100.
The ferret just didn't seem to care that that was dropping out the board. He seemed very confident it was staying in there.
He saw the long pause from George Noble, almost waiting for it to drop out before he arrived.
Well, that is it. You speak to the refs. If they have a situation where they think the dart is going to drop, they will wait. They can correct their score if they call it and then the dart drops out, but they will wait because...
Well, we did see one slight issue, didn't we, in a Pro Tour final featuring Darren Webster and Michael Van Gerwen, which the dart appeared to drop on the floor before Darren had retrieved it. But the match official, who on the floor events is responsible for not only refereeing the match, but also entering the scores into the Dart Connect system, kind of missed that.
It was a tricky one, to be fair, because it was dropped out as he was going to collect the darts. Oh, look at this.
82.
Well, this is a tricky one for Max Hopp, but it might get him right back into the match and, in fact, put the match in his favour. Not to be. So Clayton will return looking at double 10 and trying to restore a two-leg lead.
122. Jonny, you require 20.
Double 10 for the pair of them. But the ferret gets first poke.
He's on the fourth leg, Jonny.
And a fine poke it is.
Fifth leg, Max to throw first. Game on.
Reminder of what we still have to come this afternoon. Daryl Gurney against Steve West, the next match before the world champion Rob Cross takes on the former European champion Simon Whitlock. Then Jermaine Watermaner against Clayton's World Cup of Darts partner Gerwin Price. Joe Cullen against Paul Nicholson, who had a fabulous win against Dave Chisnell yesterday. Adrian Lewis against James Wade, a clash of two darting heavyweights before Peter Snakebite Wright takes on Chris Dobie, who's had a couple of contrasting performances. Very good against Steve Lennon, very bad against Mervyn King.
Finishing was very, very troubling for Chris Dobie in that one. I'll tell you what, the next game that we have between Gurney and West,
60.
It could be a 180 fest, because we know that Daryl Gurney hit more 180s than anybody in the Premier League, and he is right up there at number 6 in the rankings in the Pro Tour Players' Championship events for how frequently he hits 180s.
80.
You can see that on the Dart Connect system. Do you know who's top of that list?
I imagine you're going to say Steve West.
I am. Top of that list, higher than Rob Cross, higher than
54.
Ian White, Daryl Gurney, Michael Van Gerwen, Gary Anderson. Name him. Name a player.
Jeffrey Disraeli.
He's higher than him. He's higher than him, Merv.
Andy Jenkins.
He's higher than him.
Not even on the Players' Championship circuit.
Well, he's higher than him.
42.
Clayton needs to leave a finish here.
What frequency are we expecting Steve to hit these kind of scores at? Well, not those kind of scores,
135.
Well, he is hitting a 180 7.6% of his visits. Now, obviously, he's not hit as many 180s as some other players because he's not played as many games because he's not gone as far deep into tournaments.
140.
But Rob Cross, for example, the same number of games, only 7.3%. Look at this from Johnny the Ferret. Not going to take out the 131, and that
72.
last dart hurts him a little bit.
100.
Treble 20.
Oh, it's gone. The chance evaporates immediately.
Yeah, disaster for Max Hopp. The only place he could have placed a dart, not left himself an out.
Could
have fallen out the board and he'd have been better off.
On fifth leg, Jonny Clayton.
Now Jonny Clayton is making a sprint towards the finish line.
Sixth leg,
Johnny. A little help from Hopp.
Game on.
Well, the last 3 legs have all been won in 17 darts, and with the way these two have been playing this year, where they've been regularly up in the high 90s and 100 averages, they'll be thinking, you know, 15 darts is my par score. So if somebody's winning in 17, I've not been doing my job properly.
140.
Max Hopp yet to score a max in this match. Jonny Clayton is that first dart seems to be finding the treble 20 on almost every visit.
Yeah, he's another one of those players, Jonny Clayton. It doesn't seem to matter whether he's above or below the target area. Once he can go above, higher or lower.
140.
Could have sworn that was the first 180 for a moment there, but no. This could be another.
In again, first dart and the second.
140.
Almost a carbon copy of Max Hopp's visits. Could not be closer. Max Hopp knows all about a 1-2-1. He's not going to leave that check out, but his hope
93
is that he's not hoisted by his own petard by Jonny Clayton. And he won't be.
Yeah, can't do it after that 15 scored with the first dart.
89.
But he does leave himself well placed. Now, Max will start on the 18s. We could start on the 4s, but unfortunately, Max, that means he can't finish.
It's not happening for Hopp.
81. Johnny requires 32.
It's becoming a Clayton cruise. He glide one in, slide one in alongside the guide on the outer ring. No, he cannot.
Max, you require 47.
George Noble had a little glance towards the crowd. We spoke about this, with it being a little quieter. Little noises can affect what's going on the stage.
Johnny, you require 32.
In the end, it may have little effect because Jonny Clayton has got another go.
He's on the 6th leg, Jonny Clayton.
He's taken that second chance.
7th leg, Max to throw first. Game on.
Well, Max, who started this weekend so excellently against Mark Dudbridge, did not give the former World Championship finalist a look in his 6-0 battering. And then he saw a seeded player in Ian White, 6-4, with a very solid display again. It just hasn't really been there today. I know that Jonny Clayton started very, very well. 12 darter and 15 darter, but since then,
60.
It's been a bit scrappier. It has afforded Max an opportunity to get into this game, and he's not been able to jump all over it.
As Paul Nicholson might say, is the air has been let out of his balloon.
100.
And it's Clayton that is flying high. And the Ferret looks to be flying through to tonight's quarterfinals to take on Michael van Gerwen.
140.
MVG will be aware that he will have a game on his hands.
Yeah, he won't take Jonny Clayton lightly.
140.
But Max Hopp won't give up fighting, and we saw this in the World Series event when he played MVG, just you know, a matter of days ago, wasn't it, in Gelsenkirchen, and when it looked like MVG was cruising to victory, and Max Hopp really dug deep and managed to get him back himself within a chance. He was within a leg of MVG. Well, we talked about being hoisted by his own petard earlier for the 1-2-1. The 1-6-1 is a familiar finish for Max Hopp. But he's not going to see that hit against him. But with the way he's finishing, he's only had one successful effort at doubles, Max Hopp, out of 4 attempts.
He's got a double-sized target here. There's a bit of a margin of error because you go down the treble 16 route. There's the treble 8 next to it, which would have left tops, but it's 1 darts at double 16.
32. Jonny require 101.
Has not looked likely in those scenarios. 101 for Clayton.
$69.
One match
requires
dart
32.
missed. Jonny Clayton looking to preserve his perfect record against Max Hopp and make it 3 wins out of 3. Not going to get another chance in this leg.
They've let Jonny to throw first. Game on.
Reminder that the fixtures that I mentioned earlier on are played in the draw bracket order. So we know that the winner of this takes on Michael van Gerwen, and that half of the draw is the one featuring Gurney, West, Cross and Whitlock.
Yeah, the next quarter, Darryl Gurney, Steve West, and then Rob Cross,
60.
Whitlock. I mean, it would not surprise me in those 2 games if we saw almost 20 180s. If they all get going, they are some of the biggest 180 hitters in the game. Whitlock was incredible at times at the World Cup last weekend. Rob Cross, we know, goes on those mad little scoring patterns, and we've spoken already about Gurney and Steve West and their scoring prowess.
Be interesting to see who comes through that 3rd quarter of the draw. You've got Jermaine Watermain, Gerwin Price and Joe Cullen and Paul Nicholson in that one. So one of those 4 will be in the semi-finals. And then some real big hitters in the bottom quarter with Adrian Lewis and James Wade meeting, and the world number 2 Peter Wright up against Chris Dobey, who we know can produce some magical stuff and has done this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, Chris Dobey is still looking for a first PDC title, but the other 3 guys in there all looking for their first titles in what is quite a long time by their own standards. I think, you know,
59.
We're even into June, and to say that none of those 3 players have won a title this year is quite incredible, isn't it? But for James Wade and Adrian Lewis, it's longer than that.
Yeah. And Peter Wright, you're going back to the German Darts Masters last year, was it not, when he picked up his last title? In that incredible year where he's picked up double digits.
2 men here who have won titles this year.
78. Jonny require 86.
And Jonny Clayton perhaps about to keep his chances of doubling that tally alive for 2018. Double 16 to do just that. And the Ferret is through to the quarter-finals to face off against the world number 1, Michael van Gerwen. Max Hopp has had a productive weekend, more money on the order of merit for him, a chance to perhaps move into the seedings for the later European Tour events this year. We will see plenty more of him. We'll see him in Copenhagen and on the Pro Tour next week when we have back-to-back Players' Championship events from Wigan. But Jonny Clayton still has business to take care of here in Gibraltar. He's up against MVG tonight, and we'll find out the next quarter-final in the next 2 matches. Rob Cross against Simon Whitlock. Before that, Darryl Gurney against Steve West. But let's hear from the Ferret
Congratulations,
first.
Ferret. You've taken on a man in form, a man who's won a Euro Tour title this year, and you've kind of bossed that game.
Yeah, they went good, to be fair. I know Max didn't play to what he can, because he's obviously a great player, but I just did what I had to do, and they went good. Yeah.
You're into the quarterfinals now. It's Michael van Gerwen. Now, you 2 have had some fantastic games recently. It was 111 average when you beat him on the Pro Tour just a matter of weeks ago.
Yeah, well, obviously it's going to be 112 today, you know, hopefully. And, yeah, hopefully I can do them again.
Well, the whole point about you moving over to the PDC originally is to test yourself against the best players in the game. You're winning titles, you're beating the best players, but doing it on a big stage and finding your best in these situations, that's the difference between being a good dog